What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and welcome to my first review for 2026. Today, we're talking about PRIMATE. In this story, we follow a group of friends whose tropical vacation turns into a terrifying and primal tale of horror and survival. It's January, everyone, and you know what that means. Well, I got to celebrate my 34th birthday earlier this month. A lot of people are probably catching up on movies that are getting nominated for award season. Heck, we're probably going to get an action thriller hitter from either Gerard Butler or Jason Statham, maybe even both. But while the theatrical experience is still there, a lot of horror movies are coming out, and most of the time they tend to suck. And maybe there are a few moments where we do get a few surprises that are probably going to leave a gleeful smile on our faces. Now, I've been hearing a lot of festival buzz when it came to this killer chimpanzee movie in the later half of 2025, and I did have to hold my expectations back, and it's not just because it's January, but also, the name of the co-writer slash director who's attached to this particular project. Johannes Roberts. He's the same filmmaker who has brought us 47 Meters Down, which I personally enjoyed to some certain degree. I was pretty entertained by it. And then we have The Strangers Prey at Night, which I really adored and thought it was a really fun sequel, especially in comparison to the reboot trilogy, which is an absolute stinker. I mean, Prey at Night is so much fun. And then we have Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Fuck that movie. They had all the ingredients to make a faithful adaptation, and they fumbled every aspect in its final product. I mean, goodness. I tried to give that one a shot. Terrible, terrible decision. But needless to say, I went into this movie kind of guarded, kind of worried that I was going to walk into another stinker of his, and long and behold, it was a gruesomely good time. I kept thinking, what if Planet of the Apes went rated R? Would it be that brutal? And it's basically Cujo, but with an ape, and with award season in full effect, it was a breath of fresh air to just kick off the new year with something trashy and fun. College kids getting dispatched Terrifier style is an easy sell for me. I mean, trust me, it is far from a perfect movie, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't white-knuckling, squirming, and just chuckling in my seat. Oh yeah, while killer apes aren't necessarily an original idea in Hollywood, there was something about seeing the primal instincts, the ridiculous strength of a chimpanzee, and also the damage it could inflict on the human body that was quite shocking. I mean, the opening kill, let alone, was just enough to set the tone of what we were in for, and I wanted more carnage candy. There was like a jump scare or two that actually did get me. The rest are pretty cliche. The blood, the gore, the makeup, the practical effects did not disappoint. I just wish they kind of turned up the camp, especially when it came to the killer chimpanzee, because, I mean, a few times it just felt a little bit brutal and very mean-spirited to where I kind of wanted a little bit of Art the Clown from this chimp. I wanted him to rip off body parts and start playing with them, just waving a dismembered arm up in the air maybe. That would have been just kind of hilarious. There was actually a part of me that was actually convinced that they trained a real-life chimpanzee to do what he did in this movie, but it wasn't up until I probably pulled up my phone in the middle of the movie did I actually find out that it was a movement specialist named Miguel Torres Umba who was in full ape costume and played the character of Ben. They could have fooled me, especially with the size, just the facial movements, and the committed physical performance that this actor was able to achieve. Just, he nailed it. And, in the end, in the final product, especially when they decided to go very much in a practical way instead of just CGI or motion capture, just a lot of the look, the character of Ben was just immaculately terrifying. One element that I was completely taken by surprise by was the composed score by Adrian Johnston. I was getting complete John Carpenter vibes, that it was just too good to be in a movie like this. Even the scenes where Ben is just lurking in the shadows around the house was giving a lot of Michael Myers. That electronic synth was just chef's kiss. And heck, there is even a closet scene where it was a direct homage to that Halloween 1978. It was just so goofy, but so entertained by it. Getting into my mixed opinions. Now, when it comes to slasher films, there will always be the annoying teenagers, the dumb college kids with shallow personalities, where the sex, the drugs, the terrible cliches and decisions that they're making are all cultivating to a really dumb, fun, grisly demise of theirs. While those elements are pretty much loud and present throughout the entire runtime, there were some likable qualities when it came to some of our main characters, especially when the punishment didn't necessarily match the crime when it came to that part of the film, and especially hints of sentiment and sympathy when it came to our main character Lucy, especially with her relationship with her family. While the movie moves through Act 1 with lightning speed, right before Ben descends into madness, I was just a little bit lost on the established and developing relationships we have here in the story. I mean, example 1, our main girls, they run into some random college guys that they have an awkward encounter with, only to later have their number and invite them over the house later. And then there's also the estranged dynamic between Aaron and Lucy, where suddenly one sister is trying to make up to the other sister, the other one is just automatically mad. There's also a character named Nick, who's a friend of the family, who meets one of the girls for the very first time named Hannah, and they barely have much more of an acquaintance with each other early on in the movie. And then there's one moment right before they're about to make out that they are just immediately chumming. And then there's also the very loyal relationship between Lucy and Kate, which never gets fleshed out at all, but with their little necklaces, you can tell that they're really big besties and they've known each other their entire lives. And speaking of people that you've known for your entire life, there is Ben, who gets this little backstory about how he's been a member of the family for a very long time, and it was just a missed opportunity right before he goes completely bananas to just weep any shred of emotion for this character, that this is a character, this is much more than a pet that they pretty much spent their entire lives with and then immediately having to defend themselves from. Ending off in the negatives, now the back and forth between the house and the pool began to grate on my fucking nerves. Like the end of Act 1 in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I had to watch these characters try to sneak out of the pool, only to go in the house and grab their phone so they can call for help, only to run back into the pool. Just felt so repetitive and meandering. Also, take it from someone who actually lives in Hawaii, but there are no rabies here, so the plot pretty much falls apart all on itself, and it is silly for doing that, but it does address it. Our characters question it, and that plot point is never supported or ever brought up ever again throughout the rest of the runtime. Also, you can't necessarily own chimpanzees as pets or family members, so to speak, in the state of Hawaii. That's just illegal, and especially anywhere in the United States for that matter. Overall, it's a common misconception that people think that chimpanzees can't swim. Oh, they can. It's just that if Ben didn't have that problem, we wouldn't have a movie. I mean, this movie would have been better if it were set at a zoo, but despite its flaws, despite its issues, I still had fun with this. The final confrontation was pretty solid. I just wish they gave the opportunity to sprinkle in some of those emotions that they hinted at with our characters. But I think that Paramount's horror section is on a very interesting track to deliver some very experimental projects that are probably going to be better than Blumhouse. So let's see what they have in store for us down the road. Well, alright guys, that's all I got to say about that movie. Go ahead and check it out if you want. Look forward to more reviews. I'm Jaren, and I'll see you guys at the theater. Take care.